So anyway, Dan and I were talking about doing this presentation, and we were emailing back and forth, and Dan said, hey, I want you to do something on the cloud, and I'm a big advocate of the cloud. We consume a lot of cloud services here at IMMI. And I thought, yeah, that's my sweet spot, cloud. I'm here. And then Dan said, and I want you to talk about IT budgets and the cloud. And I thought, yeah, that's me. I'm the getting money guy. That's, my boss says, man, I don't know how you wring the money out of us, but you always seem to. And so I thought, yeah, cloud. Yeah, budgets, me. Ugh. And then Dan said, hey, I want you to make it about the movie Moneyball. And I was like, Moneyball. So does anybody watch Chopped on like the Food Network? So Chopped, I had this flashback to Chopped. If you've never watched it, here's a look. So they have this show.
Chefs, there are 3 rounds: appetizer, entree, and dessert. Each course comes with its own basket of mystery ingredients. You must use every ingredient, be it a little or a lot. And so the chefs get these ingredients and they have to open them up, and it's always the ingredients are, they're always like, oh yeah, ham, make something good out of ham, and like ham, and I was like, cloud, yeah, cloud. And then they're like, yeah, make something out of French bread. And you're like, ham, French bread, yeah. And then, cloud, budgets, yeah, that's me. And then they're like, and banana taffy. And the chefs are always like, what? And that's kind of the way I felt. I was like, cloud, budgets, that's me. Banana taffy? And so I was really thrown for a loop. So I thought, you know what? I went home and I talked to my wife and I said, honey, I've got to do this presentation about cloud. She was like, oh, you're good at that. And I'm like, yeah, and about budgets. And she said, oh, you like that? And I'm like, Moneyball. And she's like, the baseball movie? Like, yeah, so let's watch Moneyball. I've watched it before and I really liked it. So we got it again. We, went on the iTunes and started watching Moneyball, and I was like, yeah, now I get it. Brad Pitt. Like, Dan saw this and he was like, Dave Reddick, Brad Pitt. And I was feeling good until about 5 minutes into the movie, and I was like, you know what? I'm this guy. I'm Jonah Hill. And so maybe that's what Dan was thinking. So I actually watched the movie several times, and we're going to watch a little clip of it in a minute. But I want to get you involved here just for a second. This is important. Cloud services are important because your users are using cloud services. Whether you like it or not, whether you think they are or not, they have an awareness of cloud services. They're out there, and they're well designed. Maybe you use some of these, but they function really well. And they're easy to use. The interfaces are mature. They're doing cool things outside of the business with cloud services, and they're saying, why aren't we doing that cool stuff inside the business? On top of that, your executive team is also hearing about the cloud.
You virtualize the servers and prepare the data center for cloud computing.
They are being bombarded
by relying on the combined expertise of VMware, the global leader in virtualization and cloud infrastructure technology,
many clouds,
and CDW.
That's why the network
implementation and support,
and lets your data move fearlessly.
That's why they call you the virtualizer.
Cloud with confidence. See how at Cisco.
In your organization. And you want to be the people that they come to with that. So today I've only got about an hour, and I'm not going to teach you everything about the cloud, and I'm not going to talk real super technically deep. If I could leave you with 3 things, one would be that you have just a little more knowledge about some of the things that people are doing with the cloud, because we're doing a fair amount with the cloud. Maybe you're just a little more interested. And maybe you would try to think about one thing that you could experiment with, just so that you look a little more cutting edge. Maybe it's not a good fit, but let's at least give it a try. So, Moneyball. So if you haven't seen, has everyone seen Moneyball? It's actually a good film. So this little clip does a pretty good job of overview. We're gonna watch the clip. It's just a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna talk through how Moneyball relates to the cloud.
There are rich teams, and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's us.
That's $1, man. What? Welcome to Oakland.
I need more money. We're not New York. Find players with the money that we do have.
I like Perez.
Got an ugly girlfriend. Ugly girlfriend means no confidence.
You guys are talking the same old nonsense like we're looking for Fabio. We got to think differently.
Who's Fabio?
Your goal shouldn't be to buy players, your goal should be to buy wins. And in order to buy wins, you need to buy runs.
Who are you?
I'm Peter Brand.
First job in baseball?
It's my first job anywhere.
We're gonna shake things up. Why don't you walk me through the board?
I believe there's a championship team that we can afford because everyone else undervalues them, like an island of misfit toys.
We want you at first base. I've only ever played catcher.
It's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash.
It's incredibly hard.
He can't vote. But what can he do?
You want me to speak?
We're not pointing you yet.
He gets on base.
We are card counters at the blackjack table.
We're gonna turn the odds on the casino.
I'm heading in. Text me the play-by-play.
Wait, what?
I may watch some games.
Billy Beane has tried to reinvent a system that's been working for years. There was a nice theory, just not working out.
How long is Billy Beane gonna last?
He's proven himself right out of a job.
In their minds, it's threatening the game. It's threatening the way that they do things.
Hey, Daddy, do you think you'll lose your job?
What? Where did you hear that?
Well, I go on the internet sometimes.
Don't go on the internet. Watch TV or talk to people.
You're discounting what scouts have done for 150 years?
What the hell am I doing?
What is happening in Oakland? It defies everything we know about baseball.
Just plain crazy!
If we win with this team, we'll change the game. This better work. I'm just kidding.
Jonah Hill did not get credits on that. Did you notice that? I was completely absent from So, the Oakland Athletics were facing a crisis. And a lot of times for us to change as organizations, we undergo a similar crisis. The crisis they were facing was a loss of 3 key players. They didn't have a lot of money compared with the New York Yankees. There's a quick slide that they show where the New York Yankees had a budget of $114 million and they had a budget of $39 million to get players. So they didn't have the money that they needed to do the things that they wanted to do. They didn't have the players that they needed to do the things that they wanted to do. And there was an entrenched mindset about how you do the things that they want to do. And that's what a lot of organizations are facing right now. There's this crisis. You know, maybe you need some skill set. You need to hire maybe a new exchange administrator. And the going rate for a good quality exchange administrator is outside of your budget. Maybe you need to hire, maybe you want to implement some new system, and the guy who knows how to do that and can do it well is outside of your budget. Maybe you've lost the guy. Maybe your exchange administrator walks out. So you're facing that same crisis. You don't have those skills anymore. Maybe you're facing a mindset that says, hey, we've always done things this way. We've always done things with where we own the servers, where we own the equipment, where we provide the services. And so you're faced with that entrenched mindset. So this crisis can sometimes
opened the door for cloud services, and I'll talk a little bit through some of the stories behind how we got involved in the cloud, and maybe you'll see some of that. So, Billy Beane, Brad Pitt in this says, keeps asking people, what's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? And he said, you're not solving the problem. You're not even looking at the problem, because they kept saying, well, the problem is we have to replace these 3 players, and we don't have the money. The problem in IT is your users know that cloud services are out there. They're using them. They know they're slick. They know that they can do things that they need to do. If you're not going to let them send a big file over email, you know what? They're going to go to BoxNet or SkyDrive or Google Drive. They know that they can get around the system. They know what's out there and being offered. Your executives know. They hear about other companies doing cool things. Maybe not with cloud services, but they're doing them. So the problem is they expect you to deliver. And so that's going to take a new framework. That's going to take a new way to think about things, a new way to do things. So I told you I'm a good storyteller. I hope I'm a good storyteller. Let me tell you my story about Microsoft Exchange. I hate Microsoft Exchange. I hate it. I loathe it. I started out in the trenches. I don't know if you guys started out in the trenches. I started out in the trenches. I was a systems administrator 1, and I was systems administrator 2. And in January, this is my first story about Exchange. It was January 25th, 2003. I know this date because, well, you'll hear in a minute why. This date is really relevant to the story. So it's January 25th, 2003, which is a Friday. It's 5 o'clock. Our Exchange server's running a little slow. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to reboot it. You know, right? Isn't that the first solution for everything? You just reboot it, and it gets better like 90% of the time. So I thought, I'm going to reboot the Exchange server, and it'll be all better. So 5 o'clock comes, people leave. I hang around till about 5:30. I reboot the Exchange server, goes down. Store doesn't mount. The email boxes are gone. Everybody's email is gone when it comes up. Holy shnikes. And so I am in a panic. So what do? You try the usual stuff. You try to get it remounted, all the technical whiz-bang stuff that we do to make the magic happen, and doesn't remount, won't remount. So next step, and I spent a couple hours on that. The next step, go to tape, try to get a backup, pull the backup. The backed up store will not mount. Okay, so now I'm panicking, right? And it's after midnight now. Well, does anybody know what happened on January 26th, 2003? SQL Slammer came out. That was the day the code went active. So I called Microsoft, the premium support that you pay for, and sat on hold for 72 hours. 72 hours. I get to talk to somebody about every 6 hours. Their help desk queue, when I called, it was shortly after midnight on the 26th. I called and they said, "Your number 72 billionth in queue," or something like that. It was insane. And I was on hold for 6 hours before I got to talk to somebody, and then it was back and forth, and Microsoft was going panic. I mean, they were just going nuts because I stayed up for 4 days. I slept on concrete floors in the server room. There was one other systems administrator at this place. That was my relationship with Exchange. I hate Exchange. Really, there's no depth. And whenever people would say, "What about Exchange?" I go, "Exchange is a house of cards. If you blow on it, it breaks." So then I got recruited to come here and lead the IT team here. And they had Novell GroupWise here. And people hated Novell GroupWise, hated it. And so I'm walking into this storm of we hate Novell GroupWise. And they had a really ancient box running GroupWise The box was, had 60 gig of storage through the entire email box system for 300 users. You were allowed to keep your email for 30 days. You weren't allowed to send an attachment over, it was ridiculous. It was like 100K because there wasn't any space. So IT was creating all these stupid restrictions that made business almost impossible to do. I mean, you couldn't send a PDF file. You couldn't zip things. You couldn't keep your email. And so they're bringing me in as the leader and saying, hey, fix things. Well, I hate Exchange. Man, this GroupWise situation sucks. And I don't know anything about GroupWise. And so I guess we're going to start looking at Exchange, because at least I know I can set up an Exchange box. I might not want to keep it running, but I can set it up. So I'm the only Exchange knowledge that we have here. We've got some systems administrators, guys, but they don't know a whole lot about it. I have no money. So, hey, we really want Exchange. We're clamoring for Exchange. Can you bring us Exchange? Hey, other companies are using Exchange. I'm hearing from the executives. Yes, I have experience with Exchange. I can definitely bring it in. What's your budget? Budget? I don't know that word. So we started looking around. I was like, listen, I want to give people a reasonable amount of storage. You know, I don't want them fighting over 60 gig where everybody has half a gig of storage. So at this time, Microsoft started offering this service called BPOS, Business Productivity Online Services. And I went to Redmond and heard about their introduction of this BPOS. And one of the guys there said, you can make your own electricity. You could put a generator outside your plant, and you could dig up coal, and you could throw it in there and do steam turbines and generate your own power, right? But instead, you buy and you hit a switch, and the electricity comes on. He said, if you were the best company in the world at generating electricity, is it a competitive advantage for you? He said, if you are the best company in the world at email, is it a competitive advantage? And I went, no. Email doesn't add any value. And the light went on. So I'd like to take credit for that, but candidly, I stole this idea from someone else. And I was like, wow, I could work my butt off on this house of cards, but it doesn't add anything to the corporation. So I started pricing BPOS, and for a little less than $10 a month, we were able to provide Exchange, each user with 25 gig of storage. We were able to get rid of our spam filtering because it's built in. We were able to get rid of our antivirus filtering because it's built in, at least on the email side, right? So it's built into the email side. And they added a bunch of services. So we had Presence, we had web conferencing through Link, or it used to be called a Live Communicator. We had Link, we had SharePoint. I was like, wow, this is awesome. For $10 per user per month, no capital outlay. We didn't have to buy a server. So when you're putting the proposal together, you say, listen, hey, I want to spend $10 per user per month, or I want to buy 300 users, 25 gig. I want to buy 7.5 terabytes of SAN storage and four Exchange servers, and it was a no-brainer. So we went to Microsoft BPOS. This was our first foray into cloud services, and I kind of felt a little bit like Jonah Hill in that, where Brad Pitt's like, hey, this better work, because new manager, new leader, first cloud services. I feel pretty lucky. Things went pretty well. So let me tell you another story about some it's high performance computing, HPC. So I told you earlier about we crash things into walls. So we have these really cool high-speed cameras and they capture the crash, and then we turn that into a bunch of complex formulas that I don't understand, but smarter people than me, really. Turn those into mathematical formulas, and then we throw a bunch of computing power at those, and we turn those into simulations, and we provide that data to customers, and we give them an accurate prediction of some models of, hey, this is what happened in your truck. So the guy who is smarter than me and develops those formulas, name is Xu Yang. Xu is a Chinese guy. He's maybe about this tall. Harry says maybe about this tall. Xu is a squeaky wheel. I can talk about Xu because I like Xu, but Xu will come down to the IT department. He doesn't send a help desk ticket in. Xu will come down to the IT department and go, hey, Dave, I'm having a problem with this computer, and could you take a look at it? You go, yeah, Xu, I'll get to it in a minute. And he'll go, okay. Yeah, Xu, I'm kind of busy right now. It'll take me about half an hour. Okay. So Xu is persistent, and he's really a nice guy. So I probably shouldn't pick on him too much, but he is that guy, and I'm not exaggerating at all. He will stand at your desk until you resolve his problem. Xu is a squeaky wheel. So Xu came down and said, I shouldn't have advanced this yet, but Xu came down to me and said, hey, Dave, I'm having a problem. It's taking too long for the high-performance computing to run. Can you make it faster? I'll look into it, Xu. It's going to involve a new server. Okay. We're going to have to spec that out, man. I don't even know. Man, this server's really old. Okay. It's running on old Itanium processors. We don't have the Itanium processors. You know, they don't make an upgrade for those. And could you fix it? Yes, I will. So, anyway. But here's the thing. We get paid for generating this data. So that if we could generate it faster, if we could do these models faster, this is money. So I am an obstacle to making revenue. Well, we had an SGI cluster. SGI makes those video cards, and so we had a big cluster of computers that did the processing. It was ancient. And SGI was going through a bankruptcy at the time, so there was no new technology. And so if we yanked all the Itanium cores out and replaced it with like the brand newest, best Itanium cores we could get, we were going to get about a 20% boost in performance. Not adequate. Also, this SGI cluster, because these big Itanium processors are so hot, actually generate a third of the heat in my server room. So I have 2 network racks, 1 telephony rack, and 5 server racks at the time. So 8 racks. I've got something that takes up a third of a rack that does a third of my power consumption and a third of my HVAC. They were just energy vacuums. So if I could get rid of this, tons of money. I have no money for any of this. You'll notice this is a theme through almost all these slides. Hey, what's the budget for this Xu? There is no budget. Fix it. So we started looking around, and we actually contacted, I just think I Googled, like, HPC. Oh, and I got these charts of who builds the best HPC servers, and one of them happened to be Penguin On-Demand Computing. And they had this service where you could just load these mathematical models up to their cloud services and say, hey, we need to throw 1,000 processors at this. And it would work. Or, hey, we only need 20 processors. And they charged per processor hour. And so it was really cool. The other thing that it enabled us to do is now we can offer a premium service because everything sort of scales up
linearly. So 2 processors is twice as fast as 1. So you come to us and say, hey, crash my bus, give me the data. And I say, well, it's going to be 20 hours. You go, I need it in 10. I can go, hey, we can do that. We've got our turbo service, and we can charge a premium there that we weren't able to do before because we had a static number of processors. It was a huge success, and we're still using the cloud computing with Penguin on Demand. Anybody using CRM, customer relations management software? So CRM is a database that allows collection of customer touch points. Every time a customer contacts somebody in the organization, whether it's an engineer, customer service rep, or whatever, it provides a vehicle for putting that into one spot so we have a consistent story about our customers. So there's a business need. We have all these customer contacts. We have all this communication that's going on with our revenue stream, and we don't know. Sometimes a customer will call, and they'll talk to Dan, and Dan will say, oh, yeah, we can do that for you, and then it gets forgotten. And then they call in and say to our sales rep, hey, I talked to Dan about that, and they're like, what? Yeah. So a CRM provides a solution for that. There was a real business need. So we started looking into good CRMs, and we found we didn't have anybody that knew about CRMs. I've never built a CRM, never installed a CRM. I don't know anything about CRM. Harry didn't, Dean didn't. We were kind of stumped. We found some good CRMs, but nobody knew what they were doing with it. And candidly, we didn't have the internal bandwidth available, resource-wise, to be able to deploy a new system effectively. So we were on the BPOS site. They had Microsoft CRM online, same sort of subscription model. You pay per user. And Salesforce offers the same thing. I'm not just plugging Microsoft. But Salesforce is the same thing. Salesforce offers a subscription model. I think Oracle offers a CRM. We looked at a bunch of them. Candidly, we went with Microsoft because it was the cheapest. It was like a third of Salesforce, but that was our decision. It seemed to be a good fit. And again, we didn't have to deal with the capital outlay. We didn't have to deal with the fact that I don't know how to set up a CRM. We didn't have to deal with the fact that we wouldn't be able to support it. It's Microsoft. So that's one of the reasons I really like Microsoft, is because it's one throat to choke. I can call Microsoft and say, hey, it's your CRM product on your servers running against clients using your software on your platform. Fix it. And they can't go, oh, well, it sounds like you have this problem. No, it's all you. So because we manufacture seatbelts, we're in a litigious country. People sue us all the time, right? Even if they're not because our products are quality, but just they see money, right? If our seatbelt's in something and the person wasn't even wearing it, we're probably going to end up in court. So we face a lot of e-discovery, and our legal team came to us and said, hey, we need e-discovery. We said, gosh, e-discovery, we know about it. We don't know how to do it. It's going to cost something. We can build you something and start investigating it. We don't have a budget for this. This is a new, can't you guys just make it work? So again, we started looking around and just saying, hey, what's out there? What's in the cloud? We're having a lot of success with this cloud stuff. Cloud. And we found Live Office Discovery, which is not a Microsoft product. They just have a name that's very similar. But works great. Set it up, set it and forget it. We gave access to our legal department, We don't touch it. It's a write once, read many time legal discovery. They have an interface. They can search through everybody's email. It's awesome. And there's no maintenance. So I'll tell you another story. This one's actually kind of a transition story. So we had a really antiquated system here for payroll. We had built this payroll system on what should have been a desktop computer. You have any systems like that? You know, you go back in the server room. It's not rack mounted. It's like somebody's old desktop system that they said, oh, we'll just do this as a stopgap measure, and then like 5 years later, they're still, what's this box? Oh, that's the payroll. Really? Why is it running on that? Windows 98. It was a mess. So, very antiquated system, very old version of the payroll software. Had to have it. You want to get paid, you have to have it. We had no money to replace it. But here, something changed. The payroll department came to me and said, hey, you've been using cloud a lot. ADP's offering this new cloud version of payroll where we can just take the payroll data and we can put it in their cloud thing. Is that okay? We're like, yeah, that's awesome, baby. Go for it. And we helped them work through some of the issues around what it's like deploying a cloud solution. But they ended up using ADP, and this had better work. It's been working great. We've been on the ADP payroll cloud service. We no longer have a payroll server in IMMI, and it's been going pretty good. So I've been telling you a bunch of stories about my involvement. This has actually become more of the company's involvement. It's their story now. Now I've got company people coming to IT saying, hey, we need to store a bunch of files. Is there a cloud solution for that? What can we do in the cloud? Hey, we want to do some more with 3D rendering. We want to do some animation and some stuff that way. Can we do that in the cloud? Can we back up to the cloud? Do we have to use tape anymore? What about the cloud? What about our ERP, our Oracle system? Can we move that to the cloud? Disaster recovery, we're worried about that. And telephony, do we have to have a PBX here at IMMI? These are business people coming to IS saying, you've had a lot of success with cloud. I'd love to take credit for that, but really, it was just stumbling across this stuff. So I always say I'm an accidental cloud expert. It was really an accident. It was just me stumbling across this stuff and implementing it on a wing and a prayer and finding out that it worked. But had I not tried, we wouldn't be where we're at now. And I like this quote from the movie. It says, we're going to change the game. I think that's an important perspective. I've got about 15 minutes left. I want to play this clip. This is towards the end of the movie. And when I saw this, I thought, this is an incredibly relevant way to tie this up. Harriet's going to be really quiet, so can you turn the... Are we good? Okay.
For $41 million, you built a playoff team. You lost Damon, Giambi, Isringhausen, Pena, and you won more games without them than you did with them. You won the exact same number of games that the Yankees won, but the Yankees spent $1.4 million per win, and you paid $260,000. I know you're taking it in the teeth out there, but the first guy through the wall, he always gets bloody. Always. This is threatening, not just a way of doing business, but in their minds it's threatening the game. But really what it's threatening is their livelihood. It's threatening their jobs. It's threatening the way that they do things. And every time that happens, whether it's a government or a way of doing business or whatever it is, the people who are holding the reins have their hands on the switch. They go batshit crazy. I mean, anybody who's not tearing their team down right now and rebuilding it using your model, they're dinosaurs.
It's kind of a pretty powerful idea. If you're not right now, if you're not thinking about cloud services, everyone else in your organization is, then you're going to be dinosaurs. So I'm here. I can tell you about what we've done. I can tell you about how we've engaged services. I can answer specific questions.